Do you think that you could ever take on 7 brutal enemies in Red Alert 2 by just using Black Eagle fire jets? Well, that's exactly the challenge that I set forth on myself after I thought of it, because my brain just hates me. So today we're going back in time to look at a 2000 RTS game, Red Alert 2, Yuri's Revenge. And as this channel likes to do, we're going to see if we can accomplish a ridiculous challenge that did not need to exist. And real quick, you guys, I'm going to be that YouTuber and ask you guys to please leave a subscribe or a like or a comment if you do enjoy this content or if you have any recommendations. Subscribes really help me when my channel is this small and helps me to stay motivated and also come up with fun challenges to post weekly. With that being said, let's get into how we set up this challenge. So we're using the Mayflower Freezes Over map. We are Korea versus 7 Iraq. Iraq is the easiest enemy to choose on this since there won't be any terrorists bombing us, there won't be any Tesla tanks, and fighting allies was really just too difficult. I tried this challenge so many times, which we'll get into later, but to beat it, I did 7 Iraq, all on brutal. We're starting with 100,000 money. Let's get into the rules for the air only challenge. So, like most of my challenges, we have 4 rules. Rule number 1, only units allowed are Black Eagle jets, spies, and chronominers. Rule number 2, spies must only be used for money, not upgrade purposes. Rule number 3, buildings must only be used for defensive purposes, not offensive. And rule number 4, construction yard may be moved, but I cannot build additional MCVs to help me with the mission. And let me tell you guys, I tried so many times to defeat this mission. This is my maybe 12th attempt. I say it every time, but this is really one of the hardest challenges I ever did in Red Alert 2 so far. I do have a few more I'm editing. This took forever to accomplish. I did a few different maps. I decided on Mayflower finally had the best vantage point for early defense. So we're going to start building our base and working our way southwest to the enemy base. And right away you'll notice that I'm going to start using my buildings in the beginning here for almost everything. Obviously just Black Eagles or the Harriers from the Air Force base do not do too much for myself in the beginning, especially when there's a ton of infantry coming at me. So I really just have to rush them with pillboxes just to get their base down and out. And it's really going to be guerrilla warfare for the first part of this challenge. You guys will notice if you've seen my previous challenges that I kind of do this a lot. It's really inevitable with an RTS, and especially the Red Alert 2. There's no way around the guerrilla warfare with buildings in the beginning. Just while you build up your troops or whatever specialty you're doing for that challenge, you really do need a strong defense right off the bat. Especially when facing 7 brutal enemies, they just come at you so hard and fast sometimes, and some of it is RNG. A lot of times they will take their time to throw units at you, and other times they'll go right away. So you'll notice that I'm kind of using my barracks and power plants to build a natural wall. Barracks are the cheapest building I can build right now, and honestly it's just the best way to wall people in without using actual walls. I don't really want to block them out altogether. They tend to just destroy walls, and it's easier just to do it this way because I have the vantage point for defensive structures. And at the end of the day, I kind of settled with a combination of defenses. I tried using 3 lines of pillboxes, I tried using just prism towers, I tried using Black Eagles for some defense, but really it's a combination of all 3 that I settled on. You really do need strong prism towers for the tanks they send at you, but you also need enough pillboxes to keep the infantry at bay so they don't get past your defenses. And another reason why I chose Soviets to fight against in this mission is because the Allies typically send Rocketeers pretty early on, and it's just impossible to keep up with the demand of defensive structures between the missile turrets and the prism towers and the pillboxes. It's too much to manage with the early air. And the Soviets only send Kirov airships at you, and it's a little bit later in the mission, so I am able to build up my missile turrets casually, and that's really what I want because they will gradually get more and more waves sending at me, and if I know I can hold off the initial waves of pillboxes, then I'm in a good spot for the rest of the mission. Now what I'm trying to do with the barracks is simply block off a path for them to enter in. They're going to go for all the barracks in the beginning anyway, so if I can just build a lot of them, they will actually target different barracks depending on where the enemy is at, which is nice for me. Normally they have very direct lines of combat. They will go for your barracks, they will go for your war factory, and they'll go for your radar. Now, if I don't have a war factory and I just have 1,000 barracks, that's very good for me because the enemy will come from different directions and I can reinforce the entire line as I see it fit. Now they will try to send engineers at me to take over my barracks. That's fine if I lose one or two. They're only 500 ore, so it's not a huge loss to me if I lose a couple. And that's another reason why it's nice to use them. It's so cheap. It's better than rewalling stuff off for the labor cost. You'll see I start to send some Black Eagles south just to try to take out some enemy construction yards. I'm going to also build up more ore factories for more money, as I'm about halfway where my starting is. I'm at 50,000 right now. I start with 100,000. It gets low quick on these challenges. And I am able to target the enemy construction yard and destroy it, so that's a good head start for me. I'm going to keep building up my defenses, and really this is the guerrilla warfare I'm talking about. It's not really the most interesting thing to watch, so we have it on double speed. In case you're wondering, I'm not playing this fast. It's just 2x speed in the video. But it really isn't that interesting just watching me build up defenses, replacing buildings as they are destroyed. But it's a lot of micromanaging with buildings, which is important for these kinds of missions. And I do want to focus on prism towers now in the later game. They will start sending apocalypse tanks after me, and those are going to rip through most of my defenses if I don't get an early start on there. As you can see, 3 are right there, and they will just keep sending them wave after wave at me. I'm going to keep focusing the Black Eagles on the enemy construction yards at the moment so they can stop building. I am aware that enemy tech trees are kind of messed up where they don't need they don't need certain buildings to build other units. So I'm going to just destroy construction yards as fast as possible and hopefully eliminate some of the enemies coming towards the south. Now what I mean by that statement is, like, enemy allies on Brutal will be able to build spies without a lab, and Soviets will be able to build MCVs without a service depot. It's just how the game is wired. I'm not sure if it's that way with easy, medium, and hard enemies, but I know for Brutal enemies, the tech tree doesn't really matter. You can take out a majority of their bases, and they can still build whatever the heck they want to send at you. And at this point, it's a good thing I have enough missile turrets because the Kirovs are coming. It takes about 4 to 6 missile turrets in position to clear off a wave of Kirovs. They typically send 3 at a time. What's really dangerous is when they stack up their Kirovs and send them all at once. It's really unpredictable. It's bad RNG. I probably lost 5 or 6 times on this mission because I didn't have enough air defense. So I definitely want to keep a rotating cast of pillbox, missile turrets, and prism towers for this defense. And now is the time where I start building spies. You'll notice I have 6 spies right there. I'm down to 10,000 ore. That is not ideal. So I'm going to keep sending Black Eagles that way. I see they have a MCV trying to rebuild their base. So we need to try to block that off and not get killed by their enemy. And I have 1 spy survive because they run over all 5 of them with my tanks. But I finally get to do gear, and it actually works out in my favor. So you'll see me sneak this spy in. I'm actually able to sneak the spy in a different ore factory that they had to rebuild with their new MCV. I just got lucky. Honestly, getting spies in the enemy base before I ran out of money for the past 12 times was nearly impossible. They had too many dogs. Dogs like to kind of, I don't know, group up on the ledge in a way. Like, you'll see groups of 10 dogs up on ledge maps. So I was very, very lucky that they built a new ore refinery there. I was able to sneak in, get my money replenished. I'm up to 300,000 now. I should be good for the rest of the mission without having to worry about that. And honestly, that was the biggest challenge of the entire mission. I'm not trying to make it sound melodramatic, but getting a spy in, you guys don't see the failed attempts I have. That was almost impossible to get that many in. So I'm very grateful that I was able to do this mission. Now I'm just going to build up my Black Eagle forces. You'll see I have 24 going right now. I have 12 and 12. I'm going to get them in 2 groups, and we're going to start doing tactical strikes across the map. So really, the priority is to destroy the enemy MCVs and construction yards, and then destroy the war factories, and then the barracks is going to be the rest of this mission. And really, the priority is going to be the war factories. I'm sure I don't do that totally, but the war factories will make it so they stop sending Kirovs at me, and they can also stop building more MCVs to replace their base. So I'm going to take some pretty high casualties here, but money is no longer a factor. So now it's a waiting game and making sure I still have the right defenses to defend against them. And this is the one downside to these types of challenges is I'm not using buildings to destroy the enemy base, but it really is just guerrilla warfare tactics. I'm going to build more spies just in case I do need more, but I don't think I will need them this mission. I'm going to get them down there anyway, though. They can disable power, they can steal some money if I need to. They're really just a good resource to have. I'm going to group my Black Eagles together, place down some more pillboxes, and make sure that my missile turrets are holding up against the Kirovs, which they are. They are doing a lovely job at that. It's important to repair every once in a while as well, and I'm going to keep building up my Air Force right now. So the more radar bases I can get for Black Eagles, the better. And I obviously chose Korea on this mission for the Black Eagles. They do, I think it's 30% more damage than the regular Harriers, so it's definitely worth it to have them. Again, I played around with some France missions with Grand Cannons, and it was just not worth it to use Harriers with the trade-off of Grand Cannons. I couldn't pump them out fast enough, so like 4 or 5 of my attempts were also that. At this point, I have so much money I don't know what to do with, so we're just going to try to expand my base out a little bit and see if I can get my defensive line pushed a little bit farther. You'll see the engineers took my power plant. I'm going to build a barracks right after these tanks are destroyed. And I'm going to start expanding my defensive line so I don't have to worry about it much. I'm also killing time when I'm building Black Eagles, so I have 36 total now. So I have 3 different strike teams, 1 for each war factory, barracks, and construction yard. You'll see that they're kind of getting to me with Kirov, so it's okay. I have enough. I just have to replace some barracks now and then, and that is totally okay. I'm going to keep building my missile turrets just in case, though. Now we're going to start moving on the northeast space. So I already had northeast and southwest quit. I'm going to go for the second one of both base. We can get the construction yard, the war factory, and the barracks all in one strike. It's looking pretty good now. And it looks pretty easy now that I've successfully done it. Once I got my spy in, it really changed the game for how I can defend. Right now I'm really just focusing on rebuilding my Air Force after every single strike, which is a little cheesy, a little gimmicky, but this entire challenge is so far. I promise you guys this was the hardest challenge I have faced yet. I look back at the first challenge where I was just attacking with my buildings and destroying enemies with just Grand Cannon seemed like such an easy feat now that I look back on it, but at the time it was super hard, so hopefully after doing more of these challenges, only using air troops for my purposes will look easy as well. I even did some playthroughs where I considered using Rocketeers, but that was definitely too easy. Having Rocketeers as a defense, they are technically an air unit, but I don't like to count them in that way. I count them more as infantry, honestly. I do have an infantry-only challenge coming out, too, for the entire campaign for the Allies in Red Alert 2, so be on the lookout for that. That is in the works. I have a few more levels to edit before that. That was also a really fun challenge and really difficult in some parts, but doing just infantry was definitely something. But as you can see, I'm basically chipping away at their bases now with Black Eagles. It's basically a finished game. I won at this point. You're just waiting for the Black Eagles to rinse and repeat build. And I've taken out all bases but Orange, my baby, who gave me all the money. We're saving them for last. They were they were dutiful in their survivability, but now it's time to take out their base. With my last round of Black Eagles, do one more round of repair to make my base look all nice and shiny. We're going to group my Black Eagles together. We're going to disable their power just for some flair. We have enough spies. And we're going to go after their base. So disable power. Let's destroy their construction yard, their barracks, and war factory all in one go. They have Kirov airships. It doesn't matter. They're going to surrender right now. And it's going to be great. There we go. Victorious. Only using Black Eagle units, only air. Feels pretty good. Thank you so much for watching. Like I said, I really do appreciate any subscribes you can give me. It really does help out the channel. Let me know what challenges you want to see next, and I'll see you on the flip side. See ya!